Hey, welcome to episode number 28 of the Debt-Free Dad podcast. So let me ask you a question. Are you tired of living paycheck to paycheck, and are you tired of financial stress? Maybe it's time for a fresh start, and today there is no better time to get started because our Life Without Payments summer workshop is kicking off, and we're going to be talking all about it on today's show. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Debt-Free Dad podcast, where we're helping normal, everyday people learn how to save money and kick debt so they can live a happier and stress-free life. Now here's your host, Debt-Free Dad, Brad Nelson.
What's going on, everybody? You can find me on Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search Brad Nelson Debt-Free Dad, and we would love to connect with you on one of those social platforms. So I want to ask you a question as we get started on today's show. And this may be a question that somebody's or nobody's ever asked you before. You maybe have never ever considered this question before. But if you're looking to change your personal finances and get on the road to financial freedom, you really need to kind of create a vision of what you want your life to look like. So what I want to ask you is, what could your life be like if you didn't have any payments? Like, seriously, just consider that for just a moment. Like, what if you woke up tomorrow with no more debt and no more financial stress? And if you're listening to this, you might be thinking, that's crazy talk, right? That's never going to happen. But seriously, just seriously consider it like it could be possible. What could that feel like? What could it mean for you personally as an individual? What could it mean for your relationship, for your marriage? Maybe even thinking about your kids and your family and your futures. What could it mean for what you could do for other people because you've got the financial means to help out other people, or maybe a charity or something that you're involved in? What kinds of opportunities could you take advantage of because you're no longer trapped by payments and financial stress? Now, again, like I said, I know what you might be thinking. That's impossible. And Brad, you might be thinking, Brad is kind of living in a dream world right now. But what if I told you that it was possible and that this dream world really does exist? And on today's show, we want to hopefully spark a new vision for you and for your financial future. Now, myself, Ryan, and Amber, all three of us live a life without payments. And we've helped thousands of other people now over the years get on the road to a stress-free and debt-free life by practicing a lot of the simple principles and things that we teach on this show. And I'm hoping today you're going to join us on that journey. Now, before we get to that vision, it's really important that we take a minute and we understand where we're at. Because you might be listening to this show or stumbled across this show. Maybe you're new to some of the ideas that we're sharing, and you might be like, you know, those people that they're talking about on that show, those people aren't me. Like, I don't need this. I don't need to change my finances. But you want to know whose that sounds like? It sounds like me about 15, 20 years ago when I first started hearing some of this information. And I used to point the finger at everybody else and say, you know what? It is me. It is my problem. And until I realized that, nothing changed. So what I want to do is talk a little bit and share about some common statistics that are out there right now. And if you haven't been really following personal finance or really looking into some of this stuff, I think some of these statistics are going to be pretty eye-opening to you. Now, the first thing I want to share with you and tell you is that it's easy to have tunnel vision and accept your situation as normal. I think this is one of the coolest things about traveling, is that when you get to travel, you get outside of your bubble. You get to kind of see other cultures and see how the world operates. And it kind of opens your eyes up a little bit, and it kind of helps you grow as an individual. That's why I like traveling. But you can kind of get the same type of effect going on with your finances. If you're constantly struggling paycheck to paycheck, you've always struggled, you haven't learned or known anything different, if nobody around you is experiencing anything different, if you're hanging around with people that are struggling just like you, it's easy just to think like, you know what? This stuff is normal, and this is just the way life is. But the truth is that it doesn't have to be that way. So here are some of the scary facts on money and personal finance right now. Now, I collected a bunch of statistics here because I think there's so many studies out there. You really can use any statistic to kind of match your viewpoint. But I'm hoping by sharing a bunch of different studies and statistics that it's going to show that there's a lot of people out there who are struggling right now, and things could be majorly different with them if they just started making some different choices. So check out some of these statistics. According to the Huffington Post article that was just recently written, on average, for every dollar an American spends or makes, they spend $1.33. That means they spend 33% more on average than what they're making. That's a lot of overspending. According to USA Today, the average adult in the USA spends $1,497 a month on non-essential items. And according to a research commissioned by Ladder and conducted by OnePoll, all told, that's roughly $18,000 a year on non-essential spending. GoBankingRates.com. How much money did you have in your savings? This is a recent survey that just put out back in November of 2019. So not that long ago from when this episode's airing, about 7-8 months ago. And check this out. 45% of the people surveyed in that study said they had $0 in a savings account, and 24% said they had less than $1,000. That's 69% that had less than $1,000 in a savings account. Average credit card debt for indebted households. That means people who actually carry revolving credit card debt, $9,333 by valuepenguin.com. Now, I do got to give a little credit to people because that number has actually decreased over the last couple years, which is great. But still, $9,300 in credit card debt that you're carrying month to month, that's adding up in interest and fees, and it's really taking a lot of money from your income. According to a new study published today by Capital One and the Decision Lab, 77% of participants reported feeling anxious about their financial situation, with 58%, man, that's a big number, feeling that finances control their lives rather than the other way around. So let me read some of these statistics from that study as well. 68% are worried about not having enough money for retirement. That's almost 7 out of 10 people. And you want to know what? You as an individual have total control over how much money you start putting into retirement, but yet 7 out of 10 people are worried that they're not going to have enough. 56% are worried about keeping up with the cost of living. 45% managing their debt level. So almost half of the people are worried about the amount of debt that they have. 43% say they feel fatigued. 42% find it difficult to concentrate at work, which is just an alarming number that employers really need to be paying attention to because that's taking away from productivity at work. 41% say it interferes with their sleep. Money and personal finance are also known to be one of the leading causes of divorce in the United States year after year. It's one of the top reasons that marriages don't last. And lastly, and the most common one that we share on this show, because I think most people can relate to this, and we're going to talk about this one here, but 78% of people right now, that's almost 8 out of 10, live paycheck to paycheck, according to careerbuilder.com. So think about that. That means that almost 8 out of 10 people, if their next paycheck doesn't hit their bank account, things get scary financially very, very quickly for them. You look at COVID-19 and the closures that happened and how significant that was on people's financial lives. That was a perfect example of how delicate people's financial situations really, really are and how vulnerable they are based on how they're managing their money. So, guys, that's a lot to talk about it and think about. And I'm hoping the people that are listening to this show, maybe they've connected with some of those and they're like, you know what? Those are me, and maybe I need to be working on some of this stuff.
Yeah, you share some of those percentages, and it, I mean, when you see it here, it was me. I mean, you share, 68% of people worried about money for retirement. That was me. 6% worried about keeping up with cost of living. I think mine was more keeping up with the cost of keeping up with the Joneses, but still it's just that idea of what I had. 45% managing their debt levels, saying we feel fatigued, concentrating at work, sleep, arguing with my wife about money all the time. That was all before this. I mean, it's just, that was our life. And kind of like you start off at the beginning of the show, it's all we knew. So it was just normal to us. I'm a big fan of country music. Go listen to some country music. There's tons of songs about being broke and living and buying a boat and you don't have no money. And it's just what you do. And you just kind of have this mentality that this is what everybody does. And it's the only thing I knew. So to me, it was perfectly normal to live that way.
Yeah, I mean, living paycheck to paycheck, that was just always our thing. And we just felt like that was normal. Our parents did it. We got in trouble if we didn't get enough money on our paycheck or if we missed a day because we were sick. It was like really hard to catch up and keep up with just living our daily lives and paying our daily bills.
Yeah. So the question is does it really have to be this way? And That's a big question, and I think that's the point of this show, is to really hopefully get you who's listening to this is to really ask that question: is does your financial life really have to be the way it is? And the real answer is no, it doesn't. And just like Ryan and Amber said, I used to think the same things. In fact, I fell into almost all of those statistics for the most part. I don't think, I'm looking at all of them real quick. If I'm going over all these, I don't think there's any. Maybe the $1,500 extra a month on non-essential items. I don't know that I had that much discretionary income to do that, but I guess if maybe you throw in expensive cars that I should be driving, maybe it would, But I think I was every single one of those statistics as well. And, you kind of fall into this herd mentality that this is just the way it is. And it's hard to kind of get out of that. So guys, let me ask you this question. When did you discover, like, maybe there is a different choice that I can make? Like, can you talk a little bit about that? What prompted you to kind of start, maybe I need to start doing some stuff differently?
If you haven't listened to the show, so Brad is my brother, and I remember it was Thanksgiving 2011, I want to say, and we had all the family down at our house for Thanksgiving, and Brad talked about all this crazy idea of getting out of debt. Like, I'm doing this, I'm not spending money. And I just remember us getting in this like really big discussion of me being what are you talking about? Like, that's not, I mean, everyone has a car payment. Everybody has house payments. Everybody has credit cards, like all the excuses that you hear. I remember saying all that stuff. But it was something about that. And I think once he had left and it was all done, and we kind of weren't really set in changing anything at the moment. But as I seen him having success with it, kind of proving that wrong, because in my mind, like, I think like a lot of people at the time, like, it's impossible. You can't live that way. But once we started seeing success with it, it started kind of like, okay, maybe we could do this, And so that, for me, that's really was the start of it. I mean, you gotta, I think there's a story of an Olympic runner. It was somebody who ran the mile. Like they said, the certain speed could never be broken. And once he broke it, like tons of people broke it after he broke that record. And sometimes you just need people to be kind of that example and see that it's possible. And once it's possible, it's like, it then opens the door for other people to follow because they've proven that you can do it.
Yeah, we were just at the end of our rope. We knew that something needed to change. We didn't know how or what to do about it, but we knew that something needed to change, and we just stumbled almost across Roots. And oh my gosh, best decision my husband and I ever made, because it changed our life completely. And we've been debt free for a couple of years now, and I'll never go back. Never. As tempted as I am sometimes to, get the new car, it's still, no, I don't want that payment. So you can live debt free, and we've bought cars debt free.
I think those are really probably the two most common reasons why we see people either joining, taking action, being a part of the workshop. We're going to be talking about the workshop here coming up, but are those two reasons. It's one, having a major event happen in your life where it's like, wow, this was a big wake-up call. We need to change some things. Or it was two, I saw somebody, like Ryan just said, I saw somebody do it, like they're working on it, they're getting some really great results, and I started to realize, like, I needed to make some major changes, and that's why I'm here to do some of those things. So you guys hit it right on the head. Like, that's it. For me, it was just a major wake-up call when I lost my house, and I just kind of, like Amber said, I kind of just hit the end of my rope, and I just had nowhere else to go. I didn't have any other choices to be stupid anymore. Like, I had to make some big changes in my life. And, so I started reading books and taking classes and learning and just looking at money, or trying to give a different perspective on money that I didn't have before. And surprise, surprise, I started practicing some of the stuff taught out there that's just different than what most people are doing. And it actually really works. And it's a lot of the kind of the same basic principles and things that we're sharing here. So guys, let's hopefully help some of these listeners out here that might be listening to this. Because again, when you think about that, this whole idea of living a life without payments, and when we say that, because some people say, well, you're always going to have maybe a mortgage or rent or utilities. Yes, we're not talking, yes, you're going to have to pay for those services. There's no question. We're talking about credit card debt. We're talking about student loans. We're talking about car payments. We're talking about payday loans. We're talking about getting rid of loans from friends and family. We're talking about collections, just all of those things that really add on the stress. And the truth is that you can live a life without payments. Yes, you're going to have to make major sacrifices. Yes, you're going to have to make some different choices and different decisions. You're going to have to re-educate yourself on how money works. But the fact that is that it is possible to do it. And there's that old saying, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And we've said this before on the show. The grass is greener on this side. I can promise you, life is so much better and so much more enjoyable when you're not dealing with so much financial stress. So for me, I think the number one thing for us, a life without payments means just less stress, more time to spend on the things that we love to do. And that's been our main focus with getting to where we are today. It's always the main goal. It's just, is the purchase that we're going to make, are the goals that we have, are they going to lead to more stress financially or less stress financially? And we're always going to the side of less stress. It's just, there's just nothing like it. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, for us, it's just a lot of better choices that we can make, that we can travel more. And my husband's career changed because that was stressful on him. And he was able to just drop down that job and decide to take something a little bit less stressful and less pay, but we were able to do it because we weren't worried about paying extra bills.
We just don't fight about money, we used to argue about money. It was just always a contentious point. There was never enough money to do anything. And so for us, that was a big driver. For us, it was a lot about our kids. We were frustrated and tired and fighting about it. And it's like, what sort of example do we want to set for our kids? Is this the life we want them to learn from and just learn that credit cards are normal and payments are normal? And like, when you get out of school, you're supposed to get a job and get all this stuff so that you can just start paying for it. And so we've really wanted to model some different behaviors for them to see that you don't have to live this way. You don't and I've said this before on this podcast, my oldest son is he's going for his final couple years of college, but right now he's on track to graduate 100% debt-free, that he is 100% paid for and work for himself. And I'm extremely proud of that, but I'm also extremely proud of us that we've modeled that behavior for them to learn and to be able to do that in a world where everyone says that student loans are 100% needed. We have living proof in my own home that he's just saying, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to give in to going away to school and have $100,000 to pay back. So for us, that's just been a big driver for us and continues to be, is to model that behavior for our kids.
Yep. And I'm guessing he was able to do that. It probably took obviously a lot more work, maybe probably a lot more planning, and it's going to take more time, but to say that it's impossible to do it, it's just not true. You just got to do things differently than what most people are doing. A lot of what other people have told us over the years, and again, we've had thousands of people come through our workshops and join our Life Without Payments Facebook group, also be a part of Roots Personal Finance over the years. But some of the top ones that we hear for a lot of people of what they would love to do if they lived a life without payments would be able to travel more, have the opportunity to go experience the world. A lot of people have said, I would love to be able to stay home with my kids more. And that one hit home with me a lot because when my son Noah, who's now 10, when I had just kind of started this journey out, I was broke. I didn't have any opportunity to take less hours. So I worked as much as I could, which meant that he spent more of his time at daycare. And what I came to find out was that the daycare was raising my son, not me. And that was a problem for me. I didn't want that anymore. I didn't want that for him. And I didn't think that was fair for him or any future children that we were going to have. So by the time we had become debt-free, and we changed jobs to focus more on our family first and being able to stay home with our kids and run these businesses from home. He had just started 4K and kindergarten. So he was still at a very young age to be able to take advantage of that as a parent. I wouldn't change the last 5-6 years we've been able to do this for anything in the world. A lot of people talk about being able to change careers, especially when it comes to the male roles that I see, husbands. I see that more common with the male side is that a lot of them are working in jobs that are just not fulfilling. They're working all of these hours just to keep up with all their bills, and they're just freaking exhausted. Well, you don't have to do that if you make changes to your finances, change your financial behaviors and get out of debt. You can make different choices. You can change careers. Or like we've talked about on the show, maybe it isn't the job so much. Maybe it's just all the stress you're dealing with. And once you get rid of that stress, maybe you find that your job is actually pretty great. You just don't have to work 60, 70 hours at it to pay for all your stuff, right? Maybe that's what you get to do. Or maybe it's just taking some more freaking time off. I gotta tell you, it is so nice not being married to your salary. Like, I can, as a business owner, and even if I wasn't working in a business and I was working for somebody, I would be able to have the opportunity to take time off and be able to do more things. Even if it wasn't paid, I'd be able to take time off because you're not so dependent on that salary paying for a bunch of stuff that you just can't afford. And it really kind of comes down to just true freedom. Freedom of time, freedom with your money, freedom to make new choices, freedom to be able to take advantage of opportunities. Again, it's an amazing life, and it is possible. You're just going to have to make some different choices.
But I think you touched on an important point there too for, people who, maybe a career switch isn't for you, but I know I found this for me is you go back to those statistics we talked about earlier, 42% find it difficult to concentrate at work, and 41% it interferes with your sleep. That's going to affect your job performance. So you might have loved your job, but maybe over the past number of years, this whole thing has really taken a toll. Maybe it's taken a toll on your actually performance at work. And because of that, things are not fun there. Where once you get this all taken care of and you're not worried about it all the time, I mean, just think if you had 42% less time or more time to concentrate at work and 40% more sleep.
Yeah.
Your productivity and whatever you're doing is going to skyrocket. And I know this is true for me. I mean, when we were going paycheck to paycheck, it wears on you. I mean, you are not just thinking about it once in a while. It's on your mind constantly.
Yeah. And we do see that from time to time. Actually, more often than not, when people start going through this and working on their finances, a lot of them find that they get promotions. They find other jobs that pay more. And it's just weird. When you start working on some of this stuff and you start paying attention to your finances, it's like the more responsible you come with it, the more responsible you are with it, the more of it that you get to manage. And we see it time and time again with people. And I think that plays a big part is once those stress levels go down, it does give you that brain power to work on other things for sure. The other big one too, it is not just always about the fun stuff, the dreams and the vacations or staying home with your kids and maybe starting your own business, whatever it might be. Those are all great things, but it also comes down to security, especially when it comes to uncertain times. That's big. Like COVID-19 was a huge wake-up call for a lot of people. And I hope that wake-up call stings for a while for people when it comes to their finances, because it means that things need to change. Now, next time, maybe it's not COVID-19. Let's just hope it's not. Let's hope we're done with the worst part of it, right? But maybe it's job loss. Maybe it's a medical situation. Maybe it's a family situation where you can't work for a while. Any unexpected events. I can't tell you how comforting it is to know that your finances are in control once you have some of these events happen in your life. We've had countless emergencies come up, and some people have said that to me. They said, Brad, the reason why you're been so good with this, you just haven't had anything bad happen to you. And it's like, I would love for you to come to my house and we can share some of the major events our family's gone through. And that's why I just don't argue with people anymore about this. It's like this way of managing our money has served us so well that there will never be anyone that will ever change my mind, because if I would have went back 10 years ago and experienced the things that I've experienced over the last 10 years being in debt the way I was, it would have been devastating. I don't think I would have been able to come back from it. But being that we did so much work and having some of those things happen, they were bumps in the road rather than complete tragedies in life.
I think it's important too. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's going to happen. Life is going to throw you curveballs, and you've got to be able to be ready for that. And I agree. I mean, back a number of years ago, if you would have told me a year ago that 40 million people were going to lose their jobs in 3 months in this country, I would have said, you're crazy. I mean, that's never going to happen.
Right.
And it happened. So I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but in our lives, things are going to happen. Jobs will come and go, whatever those things that happen in our lives. And if you're just rattled with bills, man, that it's just hard. I mean, I am very thankful I'm at the spot now where I feel like I could weather that storm. Where before, if this would have been happening, this whole COVID thing a number of years ago when we were deep in debt, I don't think I would have been getting any sleep, because I would just be worried that, one paycheck or if lost my job or anything, we would have lost it all.
So you might be wondering after all that, how do I get started with this? We talk about this workshop. So again, we are opening up our free Life Without Payments summer workshop. And this live workshop is going to help you reduce stress. It's going to provide you with some first steps. And it's also going to give you some clear direction on how to get on the road to a stress-free financial life like we've been talking about on today's podcast. And before you discount this and say that, this only works for certain people, or maybe it's just not the right time, I got to say, you're dead wrong. This is helping people in all walks of life. I don't care where you come from, how much money you make, how much debt you have, or what your situation is. If you put this information to work in your life, your financial life will improve. If you skip out, seriously, you are only hurting yourself. And, the future and it's only going to get worse. I mean, things rarely get better if you're not going to concentrate and work on some of this stuff. So I implore you to join us for this fantastic workshop. And we've been doing these now for the last 4 years, crazy enough, coming up on 4 years. And we've had thousands of people go through this. And to see the results 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months after they participated, it's amazing. Simply put, it really, really is. So we've got 3 live webinar dates coming up on Sunday, July 12th, Monday, July 13th, and Tuesday, July 14th. So where are you going to sign up? You can sign up at therealdebtfreedad.com/workshop. Again, that's therealdebtfreedad.com/workshop. I will put the link in the show notes so you have it, and you can click on that link and you can join our workshop there. Now, if those live dates don't work for you, we also send out replays the next day. So if you can't do it just based on the schedule, because we do them live, and Amber joins us for those as well. And so if you can't join us live, we'll send you that replay and you can most certainly check it out there. But again, I encourage you to join. If you've been listening to this podcast for the last several months, or maybe you're new to this, man, 90 minutes, and I'm telling you, the results that people have gotten just from the 90 minutes that they participate in this, it's been life-changing for them. So I definitely encourage you to jump on.
Hey, what's this I see? I thought this was a party! Let's
All right. That sound, it means it's time for the celebrations of the show. And as we said, people are getting some great results, and all of these people at one point were a part of our free workshop, Life Without Payments, and then eventually joined Roots Personal Finance. So here are just a couple of examples of some of the things that people are doing. We're going to kick it off with Erin Porter, which, by the way, just a little teaser, Erin is going to be coming up on a podcast, our next podcast episode. She's going to be sharing how they saved and paid off over $37,000 in just 12 months. 12 months! And they just bought their first home. Crazy! All just in 12 months. It's unbelievable. But check this out. Her celebration this week is they paid off $5,498.27 in debt just this month alone. That is huge. Awesome job.
Shyler O'Keefe, we just got a second car, paid for it with cash.
Awesome. Love that.
Adriana Amos, have officially paid $1,500 towards my car, and I've saved $1,650 to go towards my moving expenses for my first apartment.
Awesome. Congratulations to you, Diana Lopez. I love to travel, and my friends asked me if I wanted to travel to Wyoming for 8 days to hike beautiful mountains. I love hiking also, but I knew it was going to be expensive. With everything going on, I still will not feel comfortable traveling anytime soon. I also love watching my savings growing right now, so I politely declined. And some people might say, that's it. You have no idea how powerful the word no can really be to you and your financial life. And we talk about that a lot in our company and what we do here. And saying no can save you a ton of stress.
Katie Hatfield, I've been going through my closet and posting a lot on Poshmark. I've already sold 9 things and made $70, and I don't have to pay for shipping.
Awesome.
And Kimberly Lindstrom paid off $600 in debt and put $800 in savings. I quit making daily trips to the gas station, which is saving me tons because I have a little willpower when it comes to saying no.
Awesome.
But hey, you're saying no.
Yep, that is. Awesome changes. Congratulations to all of you who are working so hard. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us here today. We love your feedback, and it also helps us grow our YouTube show. So please give us a like or leave us some honest feedback. And if you want the latest from the show, be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe to our channel. By the way, if you listen to the entire show today, and if you want to learn more about living a life without payments and debt and financial stress, head over to therealdebtfreedad.com/workshop and sign up for our Life Without Payments workshop today. Again, starting on July 12th, and I hope to see you there. Take care.